Hey team, welcome back to another quick video. Today we're breaking down one of the most important but often overlooked tools in a listing, the seller's net sheet. What is it? Why is it necessary? When should we use it? And what mistakes do realtors often make? We're covering all that, plus some very easy tools to get it done quickly and properly. So the most important things that we need to include in a seller's net sheet are going to be the sales price, the commission, estimated closing costs, payoff of any loans, mortgage, any liens on the property, tax prorations, concessions, and any other items. Keep in mind, this is not a legal document, just an estimate, but one of the best tools that we can use to keep our sellers grounded in the real numbers of what they can expect at closing. When and why should we do a net sheet? I get that question a lot from realtors. One of the most important times to do it is at the listing appointment. Whenever you're going to first take the client on, we want to present them with an estimation of what they're going to walk away with. And another important time is before they accept an offer. What we don't want is we don't want clients to be surprised at the closing table when their proceeds do not match what they had expected and they refuse to close. This is why we always want to present a net sheet. And if we can, we have them sign it as a formality so we can have them validate that they understand what we have presented to them. So common mistakes: forgetting the tax prorations. We want to tell our clients that the taxes are included on there. Let them know the taxes are subject to change based off close date. Another one is wrong payoff estimate. Oftentimes clients will tell you a number on what they think their mortgage is, but they may be off by a couple $1,000s. That couple $1,000s can make the difference on them closing or not closing. So let's make sure we get accurate numbers. Leaving out the escrow reimbursement, remind them that they will get a reimbursement of their escrow account. We're going to do a whole separate video that's going to cover that. So come back to that later. The commission confusion, make sure you clarify the commission. We want to clarify if that's going to cover our commission or both realtors. Another big item that I see is people will not have their clients sign. What we don't want to enter is into a he said, she said scenario. So we want our clients to sign if possible. If they're not willing to sign the net sheet, let's make sure we send it an email so we can get a very clear record. So that way they cannot dispute that they were given the information. So this is very important that this is done before you sign the listing agreement and before you sign a purchase agreement. So important things to cover. Which forms do we use? I like to use the capital title seller's net sheet. Each title company is going to have their own calculator online. All you do is you Google it and you refer to that page. The online calculators are easier to use, but technically the one we are supposed to use, which is best for when you're going to accept a purchase offer, is the Texas seller's net sheet template. This requires you to manually input numbers, so you will have to use the information provided from an online title company tool. Capital Title has the best program. Make sure you disclose to your clients. It says one title company, but we may not be closing that title company. Strategic use and offers. It's a very, very good thing to bring up as well. When you are looking at presenting multiple offers, oftentimes clients may get emotional about what two offers mean because they may get emotional about price. However, if you're preparing a net sheet, you can help your clients look past the emotions of just a sales price, make them look at closing costs, and make them realize that oftentimes the offer that's going to net them the most amount of money is not the offer that has the highest purchase price. So final thing, cover your butt always. Provide a net sheet. If you don't think it's necessary, still provide the net sheet. You think you're getting the listing and it's a lock and they're going to be happy, provide a net sheet. There is never a scenario where we should not be providing our clients with net sheet. All right, so we are about to work through the net sheet. This is Capital Title's website. As I said, this is the most intuitive one, but each title company's formula is going to look very, very similar. So we always start with close date. Whenever you're dealing with somebody, make sure to provide an estimation. Let them know this is a loose date. We often don't know exactly when the house is going to sell, especially if we're just getting the listing. So let them know that this is kind of a soft estimation, not confirmed. Now, sales price. What you want to do is you typically want to put in the price where they want to list. I typically enjoy, let's say we're listing this house at $300,000. I will provide them with a net sheet that is $25,000 lower and $25,000 higher, just so they can have an estimation of what negotiations could put them in a position. Now, transaction fee, we at TNT Real Estate don't typically charge a transaction fee. If they have an attorney charging them a separate fee, we can put that in there. Typically going to be blank. Option fee is typically going to be $100 unless it's written into the contract differently. Loan payoff, this is where we are going to get that information from the client. This is where you also want to include any payoffs for solar panels, pools, any other money they owe. Let's say they owe $200,000. Keep in mind, this is going to be seller provided. We cannot estimate, and they have to be held accountable if the end number they give us is not accurate. So make sure you give that disclosure to them. Now, finally, taxes. We want to look at previous year's taxes. Depending on what time of year, the taxes may not be out yet. So once again, The best resource for this is going to be Hidalgo County. Second best resource is, if the taxes are not out for that year, ask the seller to provide that information to you. So that way, ultimately, they can be held accountable for any discrepancies. Now, HOA dues is the same thing, going to be seller provided. If not, you can find this on Matrix. If there's any other houses for sale in the neighborhood. And now this is where we cover title premium. Title premium is going to talk about the title policy. If they are going to split or negotiate the title policy, you can later make changes here. Title company fees. This is pretty standard. The only changes you would want to make on here is if it is going to be owner finance, then these expenses will change. Owner finance is typically going to be about $1,500 higher. So if I'm doing a $1,500 expense, I can do just a simple repairs or miscellaneous at $1,500, and I can explain to the client this is an estimation, not a commitment, of what they can expect to vary in a seller finance transaction. I'll remove it for our scenario, and this allows us to press calculate. Now, what I typically do is I'll get this as a PDF. I will send it over to the client, have them initial at the bottom, letting them know, hey, this is not a legally binding document. I'm not an attorney. I'm not a title company. I cannot commit to you exactly what you're going to walk away with. This is an estimate for you to plan your financial situation and have an understanding of what you can expect to walk away with. So any questions, let me know. You guys should be a little bit more informed. Don't hesitate to reach out.